how did I land here? I mean, I don't know if I had a choice, right? I I think it was preordained. I was basically born into, unbeknownst to me, I was born into this industry.
Welcome to Beyond the Bar podcast. I'm your host, Denisa Tova. And today I have a very special guest, a dear friend, and she's a dynamo in the legal world, Brittany Mangan, joining us. Now, she's a partner at the law firm Tarter Krinsky Drogin, and she's a total force in a matrimonial family law. And not only that, she's a super mom. She's super in everything that she does and super charismatic here. I'm going to be so eloquent here. It's just super awesome human being. And gosh, she's been recognized as a rising star by super lawyers since 2019. And she's fearless. So let's set aside the accolades here and dive into a real story. Brittany, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And thank you for such kind words. I really appreciate that. You're
Hey,
overselling me.
oh, no, 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 no. You know what? I don't believe in flattery here. So I,
Yeah,
I
it's true.
really, I sense that, we're still getting to know each other. We were just talking about just a few minutes. The networking thing, what was the
Yes.
last time we saw each other? It was a professional function. And, it doesn't come easy for so many people, and I'm wondering, like personally me, I'm much better off in more intimate one-on-one settings. And you just know when you can go underneath the surface with certain people. I'm not great, with I call them the business card ninjas. I mean, we don't do business cards these days, but hey, how you doing? What's going on? I'm Denisa. What do you do for a living? I don't do that shit. I don't,
Yeah.
sorry, I swore, but I don't.
Uh, I don't even think I carry around business cards. I mean, I have a stack of them somewhere from people that have given them to me, but it's all about personal relationships. And I do find that in the big networking settings, I'm kind of like sitting like as a wallflower, kind of taking it all in. And I think that's kind of where we connected a bunch of times, where we're kind of both kind of like, what are you doing here? You want to talk? All right, let's get deeper. But I think that some of the best relationships are built like that. It's
Yeah.
easier one-on-one connections than kind of glad handing, like kissing babies and shaking hands.
And as I speak to more and more people, I'm yet to meet someone who just thrives, genuinely thrives in that environment. I think, many
Yeah,
people just they go because of obligation, or they genuinely want to connect, but I don't think it really comes easily to too many people. So, but if you can, strike a conversation that's deeper with one or two people at the end of the event, I think that's great, and that's how we met. So,
Mm.
tell me your story. How did you land here?
oh, how did I land here? I mean, I don't know if I had a choice, right? I I think it was preordained. I was basically born into, unbeknownst to me, I was born into this industry. My mother has been practicing matrimonial law, family law for a long time. And I grew up. She ran her own practice. She was a a very high powered, very tenacious, very successful, powerful litigator, attorney, female mother, in the 80s and the 90s. And she, broke away from the pack and set her own, built up her own shop, and she ran it extremely well and successfully. And I grew up working there, I think before I could walk. So and although I had no intention of going into law, I had all these big ideas of, the fun things that you learn in liberal arts colleges of how you're going to save the world. And then eventually, when I graduated with a politics and philosophy majors, that my mom was like, "Well, what are you going to do with that?" I'm like, "I don't know." But I went to law school because your mother does sometimes know best, and I inevitably ended up in exactly the field that I was destined to be in, most likely. And you know what? It has been the best decision I've ever made. I
Hmm.
am so happy that I practice this area of law. I am so proud that I practice this area of law. There's a lot of misconceptions, I think, and there are, we don't have easy jobs, rightfully so. There's some bad apples among the mix, and we get the reputation that spoils the bunch. But I think it's an incredibly sophisticated area of law, and when you do it well and you do it right, um, it's commendable. So that's
Mm.
where that's kind of how it started.
So going back, what were you into as a, well, maybe we should go pre-teenager.
Mm, 18. Well, I mean, I'm the oldest of four girls. So, and we grew up on Long Island. We played a lot of sports. Lacrosse was a big one in our family. My dad played lacrosse in high school and college, and it was something that was just innately brought into our family early on. Also, it was a good opportunity for my parents to get us scholarships for college. So
Yeah.
it was like, why not? It was something we all did as a family. So we played, there was a lot of, and we grew up on a big piece of land. So a lot of running around, a lot of exploring. It was an old house. There was a lot of fun things to discover. And we were adventurous, and it was a time when you could ride your bike all over town with all of your friends. And my sisters were all very close and close in age. So we were kind of like our little crew, and it, it was a great childhood with having a big family that was rooted in Long Island, and fantastic parents that raised us. But it started, with that foundation being built with that love and support, which I'm very fortunate we had.
And you are a busy mom yourself.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
that's true. So yeah, we have three boys, 7, 5, and 2. Um,
Wow.
yeah, it's kind of unbelievable that I have three children. I'm like, when did that happen? Um,
Oops.
I know. I mean, JP and my husband and I, we laugh about it. We're like, there's so many of you. When did that happen? But they're beautiful, they're healthy, thank goodness. We're a dual income household, so we have all the stresses and and also the struggles with all of that, that balance and the finding the right equilibrium between it all, as we're both kind of just trying to make it and be supportive of one another in both our ventures. But JP and I, my husband and I, we met in high school. Um, then we dated for a while, broke up for a long time. He went to West Point. He did 2 tours. So although I was, we that distance was obviously very, very long, and we always everybody laughs that it was like the great break that we then got back together. Um, but he's also the oldest of four boys, so inevitably our universes were gonna collide anyway. And our siblings are also close. But having that partner, in life and as parents, in every sense, it's you going at it alone it's not possible. I need my other half, and he's a great counterpart to me in a lot of ways. We drive each other nuts, of course, sometimes, but it's a balance.
It sounds like you so been in this flux of motion for so long, and I'm wondering, what would it look like if you had a day all to yourself? You didn't have access to your phone,
Mm.
and it was just you. What would you do? How would you spend that day?
Um, you know, I ask myself that a lot. But I love hiking. I love being outside. I love nature. I mean, I especially love being out with the boys, exploring, collecting, just finding rocks and flowers and, just places, animals, things to just kind of discover by myself. I love it too, all the same. Looking up at the sky, just breathing in fresh air, meditating, lying down in the grass. I know these are very like, but those are truly my happy places, connecting with with nature and the earth. It brings me a sense of peace and grounds me.
Wow. And yet you are in such a, I guess you could say, tumultuous industry. It's not easy. It's not just about dividing stuff. You're dealing with human emotions, children, and conflict, and holding someone's future in your hands. How do you reconcile with that? Needing sort of that, the calm to nurture yourself, and then you sort of thrust it in this chaos. How do you deal with it?
I, you know, I I think of my myself as like a tank, right? Like I start out at a certain level, and there's things that really deplete that, and there are things that I know that replenish it. I'm I'm hyper vigilant about um, understanding and identifying things that unnecessarily tax me, and I'm deliberate in those decisions to to sever or to tie that off for a little bit and then or shelve it and go back to when it's needed to be addressed.
Mm.
Work, that doesn't always give me that. I don't have that luxury as much. There's a lot I litigate, so there are tons of fires that I'm constantly addressing, trying to put out. But yeah, we work in a very human industry. It's a service industry, and I'm I'm very much aware of that. There's a bedside manner that needs to be had. You can't have an attorney that's heads on fire, that is like crumbling to bits as your client is telling you, the most horrific stories about their life. They're paying you and trusting you to advise them and guide them on. Um, I I really try to be compartmentalized, and make sure that I'm giving my clients and my family myself and my whole self, not a frizzled out part of myself. And that means taking time to reset and to be deliberate in my actions and my decisions. And to say, you know what, I got to box that up for now. We're going to talk about that later. I'm going to deal with that later. I've got this issue to address, and that's first and foremost. Um, and that comes over time. I mean, that's been a coping mechanism, I think, that you have to eventually evolve into. And there are days though that it's a lot. And between when both sides of the scale are tipped are like, they're unbalanced and they're constantly pulling at each other, that's when it's really rough. But I think that understanding and recognizing the what we deal with in our industry is people going through trauma, and understanding that while I am not a mental health professional, implementing the people as resources so that my clients have those outlets, understanding that there are there are decisions that I can't even advise them on because I don't know that, and it's okay to say I don't know. So to bring in the professionals that can advise them on that, having those resources and those tools at my fingertips in order to give my clients the help that they need, I think is really helpful, and trusting those sources, because my clients trust me. So
Yeah, that's that trust. It doesn't happen overnight. And I'm wondering too, I mean, you've been through a pretty traumatic loss yourself. And, at a first blush, people always form an opinion. How much can you possibly know, right, about what I'm going through? Do you share sometimes your personal about your personal loss with your clients just so that they understand, that there's a human being who I know, I guess there's a fine line, right? You're not taking on their stuff, but you can
Right.
sort of lean better into their situation.
So I try it it's interesting that you say that. I mean, I think that sometimes there's a part of me where I kind of laughed myself where I'm not at what my clients ask of me at times. I'm like, Jesus, I'm not a miracle worker, but I'm,
Right.
and I'm only human. But there's I my m- the loss that I had from my father passing was a tremendous loss. I mean, it was 5 years ago, and it was, and my father was you know he my he was the creative, artistic, kind of just head in the clouds, look up at the stars, smell the roses, um, very kumbaya guy, and he was an instrumental part of course, of who I am in every level. Um, such a deep appreciation for life, and losing him. I mean, he was diagnosed with cancer, and it was simultaneously with me getting pregnant with my our second son, and then then you know 9 months, I was having our second son, and he was being admitted into the ICU. So it was this balance between life and birth and death simultaneously, and then literally 6 weeks later, after I had Cal, he passed, and then COVID hit. So it was like, I mean, as if when you go, when you have a loved one that passes, right? Like you expect the world to stop. Like you're like, how could the sun have the audacity to rise? Like that's the world should not be turning. And then all of a sudden, like literally the world stopped, and then you're like, oh wow,
Wow.
now what? Like it's with all of that, and I take from that though this feeling. I mean, is sympathy and empathy and understanding of what trauma is, and this grit in a sense. Like I know that I will forever be strong. Nothing will break me. I will always make sure that I'm putting one foot in front of the other for myself, for my kids, for our family. No matter what, you have to. You have no other choice. And leaning on that and having that sense of power and stability is what I give to my clients. They, no matter what, we're going to face it. We're going to face it together, with courage, with resilience, with strength, with honor, with integrity. And we're going to, if we need to, we're going to go about this whatever way we need in order to make sure that I'm protecting them. And, but also, my core is solid. I've also, from my father and that journey and that trauma, I learned that there are certain things that I am not compromising on. My word is my honor, my reputation, my commitment to my morals and my moral compass. Like that's never changing. So no, I think that people knowing that and understanding that, they find stability and strength that they can draw from in that, there's a sense of control that you can take over your life when you have that, and when things seem like they're so out of control,
Right.
which they
Right.
do.
Yeah. 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 It's the unknown. Yeah. It really rocks your world. And they're at their worst and they're afraid.
Exactly, and they have every right to be. They have every right to be, but having strong, um, knowledgeable advice and guidance, and knowing that you have a team, so giving you that, having your back, is, I think, it's very empowering to people, and but not, not in the sense that, let's be real, like,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna,
Right.
I'm not empowering you, I'm not gassing anybody up here. Like, this is, it serves nobody if I'm gassing somebody up in the wrong direction. I mean, I fail, they fail, and that's failing everybody. So,
Mm.
yeah, I don't convey my personal trauma, but I do convey, the sense of safety and trust and stability and courage, and knowledge. You know,
That's a really great way of putting it. You're sort of channeling that constructively, and you have all the reasons in the world to be sort of not bitter. Obviously, you have to be professional, but there are professionals who take it on as their personal mission and they take it
yeah.
personally. It's like, who's getting divorced here?
I know, yeah. Well, that's, the burn rate on matrimonial attorney is, like, I'm like, oh God, like, it's dangerous. Like, you really
Yeah.
could slip into that easily, and it's
Mhm.
hard. You do see people doing that. I mean, and it happens. Like, there are some cases where you're like, ah, not
Yeah.
again. Like, there are just cases that you're like, but you can't take on those emotions. I mean,
Mhm.
you can't get in the mud and cry with them. It's just, they should have they really need that supportive system outside of me, in order, and if they don't have it, I try to implement that with professionals in order for them to have that outlet, because it's too expensive to call me, and I'm willing to listen, but I can't give them mental health advice.
No, you're in a fairly new firm. It sounds like you have a great team. How and they've gotten to know you. How would they describe you?
I don't know. That's a good question. I think at first I think people expect, somebody different than they initially than they get.
Mm,
I think that they're more surprised at how, willful I can be on things, and how, like, determined about certain things, and I, you know, I'm very much a team-oriented person, so I thrive on collaboration. I mean, my hobby is Westlaw. As cheesy and as nerdy as that sounds, like, I love to research. I love to understanding the law and your case, and that brings such a sense of of professional courage, and empowerment to any litigation. And
mhm,
when you're able to brainstorm with others, and you're able to troubleshoot and spitball on strategy and tactics and cases, I mean, that's the name of my game. I love it. And I think it's surprising to some people how, like, much I love to talk shop. um but, it's a I'm with a fantastic team that I'm very, very, very proud of. I think each one of us, I mean, my two partners in the city, my partner on Long Island, I mean, the firm as a whole is phenomenal. And I think that our department in general, each one of us has these very, unique, specific talents. And I, as a cohesive group, we're a force, and it's a nice force, and we have each other's back. So
yeah, and it's like, don't let this smile fool you. It's yeah, that's so funny. Are you and your husband, I know you're so busy, but are you guys binging on any shows, any TV shows?
Oh, we actually were. What did we just watch? Actually, it was really good. Oh, you know what? I was watching The Pit. That's a tough one. It's a show on
Hit.
HBO. The Pit. The Pit. It's a little tough. Yeah, some mental health breaks, like, in the middle of those ones. It's about a ER hospital. Very
Oh,
well done. I mean, I obviously don't know anything about medicine or being a doctor, but it's fascinating to me. And from what I hear, it's a good portrayal of reality.
Mm,
We also started watching Mobland, which is actually pretty good.
we did too.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's a
Wow.
good,
It's
yeah,
gritty. Yep.
very, yeah, yeah. But
Tom Hardy. Oh my gosh.
oh, please. I mean, I
I
could
know,
watch that all
right?
day. JP and I are like, all right, yep.
Yep. Tom Hardy. Yep.
Mhm,
Say
mhm,
no more.
yeah. But
Yep.
yeah, other than that, I mean, also, the Masters, of course, this weekend, dear Lord, it's
Oh
like
yeah. Okay.
to
Yep.
be, that was on all weekend. Which I mean, love it. It's great for napping in the background.
Yeah.
Oh,
Nah.
it's okay. Fine. We all need our outlets. Golf, I'll give it to them. It's fine.
Um, what before we wrap up here, what would be what advice would you give to incoming attorneys?
Well, I mean, my associate Callie. I mean, she is my right hand. I would be lost if I didn't have her. I mean, I've had the benefit of having phenomenal mentors throughout my life. I've also had, I think, the benefit of seeing a lot of not so great uh, people who are in positions of power who are somewhat, they overuse it, they abuse it, and learning from that and what not to do. I think that the whole like hazing, portion of law in that sense is kind of phased out. I hope. But it still exists in a way. Of course, it's never entirely gone. I, you just have to identify who who you are inside and look 5 years up. Where do you want to be in 5 years? Find that person. I think that I've had you know I I've been able to see 5, 10, 15, 20 years in front of me and navigate that path for myself. And when
Wow.
you know where you want to go and who you are inside, don't let anybody take that away from you. That sense of drive and that sense of pride in a humble way will be a driving force to go forward. But I like Callie and we're very, very, very much, lockstep. She is not only, she's my associate, but she's really my equal. I mean, we work in tandem on everything. We
Right.
brainstorm. She's, she's a very, I'm very fortunate that we found each other, which has blossomed into not only a, professional, but like, she's like a sister to me. And we take care of one another, which is hard to
Mm.
find. But for incoming attorneys, know yourself, know your case, know your law, know the law, and that it'll start with courage. Confidence that'll come maybe eventually. You'll still have the shakes, you'll still be nervous no matter what. Um, but be courageous to fail and learn from your mistakes because it's bound to
Mm.
happen.
I like that. Be courageous, to fail, learn from your mistakes. Yeah, because we all will.
Yeah.
It's the next step that really matters. Britt, it's been a pleasure to have you here. I'm sure we'll have you back. We could talk forever. And, really thank you for, digging deep and being vulnerable and really allowing us viewers, listeners to get to know the real you behind your title. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. So good to talk to you. Yeah, I could do this all day with you.
And for everyone listening and watching, and to find out more about Brittany and how to get a hold of her, make sure that you check out the links below. And don't forget to subscribe to Beyond the Bar podcast. Follow us on all social media channels. And until next time, stay curious and stay inspired.